Breaking news tonight, a pregnant black woman and her military lieutenant husband were falsely accused of theft at a local grocery store. Security cameras revealed everything. Hey, Ariana, are you there? Kindly tell us what happened in details in the future.
Hey, yes, I'm here. I'm standing outside the grocery store where this incident took place just days ago. According to witnesses, Cynthia, a white woman, deliberately planted a $40 bottle of vitamins into the couple's shopping cart when they weren't looking, then screamed theft accusations.
They stole from me. I saw them. These people took my vitamins right out of my basket. Thieves! Somebody call the police.
They didn't take anything from you.
Liar! You're a liar. Give them
let's
back.
slow down. Everybody take a breath, all right?
She was right
you didn't
there.
touch your
I saw
cart.
her.
Let's just talk this out calmly, please.
A pregnant woman stood frozen in the middle of a grocery store aisle, one hand resting protectively on her baby bump. Across from her, a furious stranger pointed and shouted, calling her a thief loud enough for everyone in the store to hear. Her husband, still in his military uniform, quickly stepped in front of her, trying to shield her from the growing crowd. Curious shoppers began to gather around, some even pulling out their phones to record the scene. What began as an ordinary Tuesday shopping trip was about to turn into a nightmare, but not for the reasons that angry woman expected. The store's security cameras were recording every second of it. Before we go on, tell me, where are you watching from? And if this is your first time here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button because stories like this deserve to be heard. Trust me, you won't believe how this one ends. Earlier that day, Isaac and Jennifer had walked into the grocery store around 2 p.m. It was a small neighborhood place where everyone knew each other, the kind of store where the owner greeted you by name and the cashiers remembered your favorite snacks. Jennifer was 6 months pregnant with their first child, and the couple had planned a quick trip to pick up some healthy groceries and a few baby items the store had just started stocking. Isaac had come straight from his military base after finishing his shift, still wearing his uniform, before heading home with his wife. That morning, Jennifer had made a list of everything they needed for the week. When they arrived, the couple grabbed a cart and started moving through the aisles, picking up fruits, vegetables, whole grain bread, and a few pregnancy vitamins. The store was quiet that afternoon, with only a few shoppers walking around. Jennifer moved slowly, getting tired easily these days. Isaac kept asking if she wanted to take a break, but she smiled and said she was fine. They chatted about baby names, laughed about their future, and enjoyed this peaceful moment together. What they didn't realize was that someone was watching them. 2 aisles away stood Cynthia, who had come into the store about 10 minutes later. She carried a small basket and pretended to shop, but her eyes kept following the couple. She noticed how they smiled at each other, how Isaac gently guided Jennifer away from a shelf she almost bumped into, and how lovingly they looked at baby bottles, together. Something dark and jealous stirred inside her, a feeling she couldn't explain. Cynthia reached into her own basket and pulled out an expensive bottle of vitamins worth about $40. She glanced around. The only employee she could see was busy helping another customer at the front. Thinking no one was watching, she made her move. What Cynthia didn't know was that the store had recently installed small security cameras after a theft a few months earlier. They were hidden in corners, easy to miss, and Cynthia had never noticed them before. She slowly walked closer to Isaac and Jennifer's cart. The couple had stepped away for a moment to check something on the shelf, leaving their cart behind. That's when Cynthia did it. She casually passed by and dropped the pricey vitamin bottle into their cart, hiding it under their groceries. Her heart was racing, but she thought her plan was perfect. A cruel plan, one that would soon spiral completely out of her control. Jennifer and Isaac returned to their cart, unaware that something had just been planted inside, something that would change everything. After picking up the last few items on their list, Isaac and Jennifer started walking toward the checkout counter. That's when it happened. Cynthia suddenly began screaming at the top of her lungs. The sound was so sharp and unexpected that everyone in the store froze. Isaac and Jennifer stopped mid-step, confused and startled. Cynthia pointed straight at them, her face flushed with fake anger. "They stole from me," she yelled. "They took my vitamins. Her voice echoed through the small store as she repeated the word thief over and over, louder each time. The cozy grocery store now felt suffocating. Shoppers stopped what they were doing and turned to stare. Some moved closer, whispering to each other. A few pulled out their phones and began recording. What would you do in that moment? Could you stay calm if someone accused you like that? Jennifer's face turned red with embarrassment. Her hands instinctively moved to her belly, protecting her unborn child. Isaac tried to ask what Cynthia was talking about, but she only screamed louder. She demanded the staff check their cart. She claimed she knew they had stolen her vitamins. She even threatened to call the police if no one did anything. Hearing the chaos, the store owner, Tom, an older man who had run the store for more than 20 years, came rushing out from his office. He recognized Isaac and Jennifer. They were regular customers, always polite and respectful, but now seeing Cynthia shouting so confidently, even Tom didn't know what to think. Isaac calmly explained that they hadn't taken anything. His military training showed in his voice, controlled, steady, but firm. Beside him, Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. She couldn't believe this was happening. Still, Cynthia pressed on. She insisted that they check the cart. She described the missing vitamin bottle in detail. The brand, the color, the exact size. Her confidence made it sound believable. Then one of the store employees spotted it. The bottle was sitting right there in Isaac and Jennifer's cart, hidden among their groceries. Jennifer gasped. She had never seen it before. Isaac immediately said it wasn't theirs, but Cynthia was already smirking, acting as if she had proved her point. She demanded an apology. She wanted them arrested for theft. Around them, the crowd whispered. Some people looked at the couple with suspicion. Others seemed uncomfortable, unsure what to believe. And through it all, phone cameras kept rolling, capturing every painful second. Jennifer's quiet tears began to fall, her shoulders trembling as she stood there being called a thief in front of strangers. Isaac wrapped his arm around her, trying to comfort her while desperately wondering how that bottle ended up in their cart. That's when Tom remembered something important. He raised his hands, asking everyone to calm down. Then, in a steady voice, he said, there was a way to find out exactly what happened. The moment he mentioned the store's security cameras, the color drained from Cynthia's face. She had been so focused on making a scene, so sure that this small neighborhood store wouldn't have any surveillance, that she never even thought about the cameras. Her confidence began to crack. She quickly said that cameras weren't necessary, that she knew what she had seen, but Tom wasn't listening. He was already walking toward his office, inviting everyone to come watch the footage with him. Isaac and Jennifer followed right away. They knew this would finally prove their innocence. Cynthia hesitated, her feet almost frozen to the floor, but refusing to go would only make her look guilty. With no choice left, she followed behind them, her mind racing to find a way out. The office was small and crowded once everyone squeezed inside. Tom sat at his desk, pulled up the camera feed, and began rewinding the footage to about 20 minutes earlier, when Isaac and Jennifer had first entered the store. The video was clear. Everyone could see the couple walking in, grabbing their cart and moving calmly through the aisles, picking up groceries, chatting and laughing together. Then Cynthia appeared on the screen. They all watched as she quietly followed them from a distance. They saw her take a bottle of vitamins from her own basket, glance around nervously, and then, right there on camera, walk up to Isaac and Jennifer's unattended cart and drop the bottle inside. The room fell completely silent. The only sound was the faint hum of the computer fan. Jennifer let out a shaky breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Isaac shook his head in disbelief. They had been set up and now they had proof. Tom replayed the clip to be sure. The evidence was undeniable. Cynthia had deliberately planted the vitamins and then tried to frame the couple for theft. Cynthia's voice trembled as she tried to explain. She said the camera angle must have been misleading, that it wasn't what it looked like. But the video was crystal clear. There was no other explanation. Tom's expression hardened. The confusion on his face turned to anger. He looked at Isaac and Jennifer and apologized sincerely. He told them he was sorry for what they'd been put through, that he should have checked the cameras before letting things get so out of hand. Isaac accepted his apology, but his eyes were fixed on Cynthia. Calmly, he asked her why. Why would she do something so cruel? Why frame two innocent people? Cynthia had no answer. She just stood there, caught, exposed, and speechless, trapped by her own lies. Tom picked up the phone and called the police, explaining that he had a serious situation in his store. As they waited, Cynthia quietly moved toward the door, clearly hoping to slip away. Cynthia mumbled something about needing to leave, that this was all just a misunderstanding. But Tom wasn't having it. He stepped in front of the office door and told her firmly that she needed to stay until the police arrived. Other employees quietly moved to block the back exits, making sure she couldn't slip away. Word had already spread through the store about what the cameras had revealed. Shoppers who had been recording earlier now had their phones out again, this time capturing a very different story. Within 15 minutes, 2 police officers arrived. Tom immediately showed them the footage. They watched it twice, taking careful notes. Then they spoke separately with Isaac, Jennifer, and Cynthia. Isaac explained everything calmly and clearly, showing his military ID and describing exactly what had happened. Jennifer, still trembling, told them how humiliating it was to be accused in front of everyone, while pregnant no less. She repeated that she hadn't done anything wrong, that she and her husband were just shopping for groceries and baby supplies. When the officers turned to Cynthia, she tried to act innocent. She claimed she was confused, that it was all a mistake. But the officers had seen the video. They knew what they were looking at. This wasn't confusion. It was deliberate. Right there in the store, they arrested her. They read her rights and placed handcuffs around her wrists. Cynthia was charged with filing a false police report, attempted theft by deception, and possibly more charges to come. As she was led out, the entire store went quiet. The same people who had earlier looked at Isaac and Jennifer with suspicion now watched in shame. Their phones, which had once recorded the false accusation, were now recording the truth. Isaac and Jennifer stood together, still processing everything. Tom approached them apologetic and kind. He offered to let them take their groceries for free, but Isaac politely refused. "We just want to pay and go home," he said softly. They'd been through enough. Have you ever been falsely accused of something? Type yes or no in the comments below. That day the couple returned home shaken and quiet. Jennifer couldn't stop replaying the looks on people's faces, the disbelief, the judgment. She couldn't forget how Cynthia had screamed those lies while she stood there, pregnant and terrified. Isaac felt furious, but he stayed calm for Jennifer's sake. He didn't want stress to hurt her or the baby. That night they talked about what to do next. They could try to move on, or they could stand up for themselves. The more they thought about it, the clearer it became. They couldn't just let it go. What Cynthia had done wasn't just cruel or embarrassing, it was illegal. And if those cameras hadn't been there, their lives could have been destroyed. So they decided to take legal action. They found a lawyer who specialized in defamation cases. After watching the footage and hearing their story, he told them they had a very strong case. Cynthia, he explained, had committed multiple crimes, and now she would have to face the consequences. Cynthia had gone too far. By accusing Isaac and Jennifer of theft, she had filed a false police report. By planting the vitamins in their cart, she had committed attempted fraud. And by publicly calling them thieves in front of a crowd, she had defamed their character. Isaac and Jennifer's lawyer filed a civil lawsuit against Cynthia for defamation. The lawsuit stated that she had falsely accused them in front of witnesses and that her lies had damaged their reputation. Even though the truth came out quickly, the harm was already done. People had heard her shouting. People had recorded her accusations. And for that moment in time, Everyone had looked at them like criminals. The lawsuit asked for a significant amount in damages. It also described the emotional trauma Jennifer had suffered, especially as a pregnant woman put through such an intense, humiliating experience. Cynthia hired a lawyer to defend herself, but there wasn't much she could do. The security footage told the whole story. Multiple witnesses confirmed what they saw. The evidence was overwhelming. Meanwhile, the criminal case was also moving forward. The district attorney decided to prosecute Cynthia for her actions. Her lawyer tried to negotiate a plea deal, but Isaac and Jennifer refused. They didn't want leniency, they wanted accountability. They wanted people to understand that false accusations have real consequences. The criminal trial was short because the evidence was so clear. The prosecution showed the security footage, presented witness statements from Tom and his employees, and included testimony from Isaac and Jennifer. Cynthia's defense tried to claim it was all an honest mistake, that she truly believed the vitamins had been taken by accident. But the video destroyed that story. It showed her taking the bottle from her own basket and placing it in the couple's cart on purpose. There was no misunderstanding, only intent. The jury didn't take long. They found Cynthia guilty of filing a false police report and attempted fraud. The judge sentenced her to 6 months in jail, part of which could be served through a work release program. She was also given probation and community service, but her punishment wasn't over yet. The civil lawsuit turned out to be even more damaging, especially to her finances. During the civil trial, Isaac and Jennifer's lawyer focused on the emotional and reputational harm Cynthia had caused. Jennifer's doctor testified about the stress she endured in the weeks after the incident, explaining how severe stress could have affected both her and her unborn baby. The lawyer argued that Cynthia's lies could have destroyed their lives if not for those cameras. He reminded the jury that Isaac's military career could have been ruined if there had been even a shadow of doubt about his integrity. Cynthia's lawyer argued that the requested damages were too high, that she had already suffered enough through the criminal conviction, but the jury disagreed. After careful deliberation, they ruled in Isaac and Jennifer's favor, awarding them a large financial settlement for the emotional distress, humiliation, and lasting impact of Cynthia's false accusations. The jury's decision changed everything. The total settlement covered all of Isaac and Jennifer's legal costs, compensation for emotional distress, and punitive damages, meant to punish Cynthia and send a message to anyone who might think of doing something similar. Reports said the amount was in the six-figure range, with some sources estimating it to be close to $300,000. Though their lawyer never confirmed the exact number publicly. When the verdict was read, Cynthia's face said it all. The reality finally sank in. Her prejudice and cruelty had led her to commit a terrible act, and now she was paying the price. Beyond the jail time and the crushing financial penalty, Cynthia faced even more fallout. Her employer, after learning about the case and seeing the footage, fired her immediately, releasing a statement saying her actions didn't reflect their company's values. Her reputation was destroyed. Anyone who searched her name online would find countless articles about what she had done. Future employers would see it. Future landlords would see it. Unable to pay the full judgment, she eventually declared bankruptcy. Her wages were garnished, with a portion of every paycheck going to Isaac and Jennifer for years to come. Some said she got what she deserved. Others thought the punishment was too harsh, but nearly everyone agreed her actions were cruel, dangerous, and could have ruined 2 innocent lives. If you were on the jury, would you have voted guilty? Tell us in the comments below. After the trials ended, Isaac and Jennifer quietly stepped away from the spotlight. They asked for privacy and tried to rebuild their lives. A few months later, Jennifer gave birth to a healthy baby girl, a beautiful light after everything they had been through. The couple shared the joyful news only with close family and friends, grateful to finally focus on something good. They used part of the settlement money to secure their daughter's future and pay off their home. They didn't seek interviews or fame. They just wanted peace. Meanwhile, Tom continued running his grocery store. He kept the security cameras and even upgraded them to a newer, more advanced system. Whenever customers asked, he said he was thankful those cameras had been there that day. Without them, an innocent couple could have lost everything. In the months that followed, the case became a lesson in justice and truth. Law schools and legal experts used it as an example when discussing defamation and false accusations. Proof that evidence matters, and that lies, no matter how loud, can never bury the truth. In the months that followed, community groups began talking about the case whenever the topics of racial profiling and prejudice came up. It became a real-world example of how assumptions and bias can push someone to do terrible things, and how those choices can destroy innocent lives. As for Cynthia, she served her jail sentence and began her probation. There were no redemption stories, no public apologies, no grand attempts to make things right. She simply faded into obscurity, left to face the consequences of her own cruelty and silence. The incident became a lasting reminder of the world we live in, a world where cameras are everywhere, and where the truth can surface even when someone tries to bury it. This story carries several powerful lessons. First, the truth matters, and evidence matters. The security cameras in that small grocery store were the only reason justice was served. Without them, it would have been Cynthia's word against Isaac and Jennifer's. Even though they were innocent, doubt could have followed them for years. Second, false accusations are serious crimes. Cynthia thought she could get away with it, that no one would ever know. But she was wrong. Her lies cost her everything: her job, her reputation, her freedom, and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Third, prejudice and racism create real victims. Isaac and Jennifer weren't doing anything wrong. They were just shopping for groceries and baby items. Yet someone's hate turned an ordinary day into a nightmare. Jennifer had to endure that stress while pregnant, and Isaac had to stand there helplessly as his wife was humiliated, until the cameras finally revealed the truth. Fourth, standing up for yourself matters. Isaac and Jennifer could have accepted Tom's apology and walked away. Many people would have, but they chose to fight back. They chose to hold Cynthia accountable. Because of that decision, justice was served, not just for them, but for anyone who's ever been wrongly accused. The case also underscored the importance of security systems for business owners. Tom had installed those cameras after a small theft incident, never realizing they'd one day save 2 innocent people from being branded as criminals. After this case, many small businesses in the area started installing their own cameras, realizing that surveillance doesn't just protect merchandise, it can protect lives, reputations, and truth itself. For Isaac and Jennifer, the experience changed them in quiet but lasting ways. They became more cautious in public, more aware of how quickly an ordinary day can spiral into chaos. But they also gained faith in the justice system. Faith that when solid evidence is presented, truth can still win. They didn't let that terrible day define them. They focused on their new baby, on building their life together, and on healing. But they never forgot what happened in that grocery store on that Tuesday afternoon. How could they? It was a reminder that prejudice still exists, that hate can disguise itself as certainty, but also that truth has power. Evidence matters. Cameras don't lie. And justice, even when it comes slowly, always catches up with those who deserve it. The security footage from that day was preserved and used in multiple legal proceedings. It showed everything: Cynthia's careful movements, her suspicious glances, her deliberate act of planting evidence, and the single decision that changed so many lives. That footage didn't just prove Isaac and Jennifer's innocence, it saved them. Without it, they might have been arrested, forced to fight false charges in court. Isaac's military career could have been destroyed. Their reputations might never have recovered, all because one woman chose to act out of hate. Tom thought about that day often. He thought about how differently things could have gone if he hadn't installed those cameras, and how close Isaac and Jennifer came to being victims of someone's lies. He was grateful he'd made that investment, even though at the time it felt unnecessary. The employees who witnessed everything never forgot it either. They had seen how quickly things could spiral out of control, how someone could sound so confident, so certain, and still be completely lying. It taught them to question, to look for evidence, and to never believe the loudest voice in the room without proof. For the other shoppers, guilt came later. Many of them had looked at Isaac and Jennifer with suspicion that day. Some had even believed Cynthia's accusations, if only for a moment. When the truth came out, they had to face their own biases, to ask themselves why they were so quick to believe a lie. Several later said the experience changed them. They learned not to jump to conclusions, not to let prejudice guide their instincts, and to wait for facts before forming opinions. The case didn't just affect the couple, it affected everyone around Cynthia too. Her family and friends struggled with shame and disbelief. Some defended her at first, insisting she couldn't have done such a thing, until the footage made denial impossible. Her employer had to address the scandal publicly, saying her behavior didn't reflect company values. The ripple effects of her actions spread far beyond her own life. The legal community also paid attention. A $300,000 judgment for a defamation case over a grocery store incident was significant, almost unheard of. It sent a strong message. False accusations have real costs. Lawyers began using the case as an example for clients, warning them, "This is what can happen when you lie. This is the price of false accusations." For Isaac and Jennifer, though, it was never about the money. It was about accountability. It was about making sure Cynthia faced the consequences of her actions, and showing that you can't target innocent people and get away with it. They used most of the settlement to create a college fund for their daughter, turning something painful into something hopeful. The rest went toward paying off their home, helping their family feel safe again. Isaac continued his service in the military, supported by his commanding officers, who stood by him once the truth was clear. Jennifer focused on motherhood. Her pregnancy, though stressful, ended with the birth of a healthy baby girl, something she remained deeply thankful for. Still, the experience left a mark. The couple became more cautious in public, always noticing security cameras wherever they went. They felt safer in places with visible surveillance, a quiet reminder of how fragile trust can be. But this story isn't just about one incident in one store. It's about something bigger, about how prejudice, bias, and assumptions can turn ordinary moments into nightmares. Isaac and Jennifer's story had a happy ending, because there was evidence, because there was a camera. But how many others aren't so lucky? How many innocent people have faced false accusations without proof to defend them? The case became a reference point in discussions about racial profiling and false claims. Community groups, schools, and churches began using it as an example, a lesson about empathy, fairness, and the importance of not judging people based on assumptions. The entire confrontation had lasted less than an hour, but its impact reached far beyond that Tuesday afternoon. It became a case study in law schools, a talking point in community meetings, and a reminder that justice depends on truth. For Isaac and Jennifer, it was one of the worst experiences of their lives, until the truth came out. Being falsely accused in public, especially while pregnant, is a humiliation few could imagine. But thanks to one store owner, one camera, and undeniable evidence, justice prevailed. They got the truth, they got vindication, and they got to move forward, stronger, wiser, and more united than before. For the rest of us, their story stands as a warning and a lesson. Always seek truth before making judgments. Remember that your actions have consequences, and in a world filled with cameras, Lies don't stay hidden for long. The story of Isaac, Jennifer, and Cynthia isn't just about one moment. It's about accountability, justice, and the enduring power of truth, because sometimes it only takes one camera to capture the moment when right defeats wrong.